It's going on 6 months since I've made any content. And I've got to tell you something. Back in October-ish, everything was going great. I recently got saved, became a good Christian, trying to do my thing. And November came, Thanksgiving, the whole family was about to be together. And then it happened. After about 2 years, I finally got the COVID and went into the ICU, and I honestly thought I wasn't going to make it out. Yes, the virus is real, but it definitely has been politicized and used for their personal gain. But I became a victim to it, and it almost took me out. So that was a curveball that threw me out, and luckily, through the grace of God, I was actually one of the fortunate ones to have recovered as fast as I did. It took me about a solid month before I was fully recovered and able to be back in the gym full time and everything. But that month of being home and not being able to do anything and being completely weak, it crushed everything that I had planned back in October. Everything was going great at that time, and I was like, okay, so this is going to be a good thing. Then that curveball hit, and it kind of just ripped my whole world into pieces. I didn't care for anything. I didn't want to do anything. New cameras were coming out, new lenses are coming out. I had a laundry list of videos that I wanted to make, and it just wasn't working anymore for me. And I had to question a lot of things. So I had that time during those 2 or 3 months of being home to reevaluate things. So I started getting things together, getting a plan of action together, and then about a couple of weeks later, my father ended up in the hospital for the same thing that I had. Only for him, through the malpractice of the hospital, which after seeing all of the records, it's been very clear that the malpractice of the hospital is what caused his death. And it's been rough to deal with that nonetheless. So not having him here definitely threw me for another curveball, which right after I recovered from my curveball, then that happened. And literally it was 2 weeks before Christmas. So going through the holidays, it was a really rough time for us and the family, and it just didn't feel the same. And honestly, making videos and content and photo and video in my career was the last thing that I was concerned about. Which, yeah, it's crazy to think that those priorities can change you like that. So New Year's happened, and I started to slowly put myself back together. I felt like Humpty Dumpty, I've been shattered into a million pieces, and I had too many things on my plate at the time, and I just had to do one step at a time to get back to where I was. So after his service in about mid-January, which was the last rough part of that whole curveball, I started to slowly build myself back up together. I completely redesigned my website at that time, took that time and the downtime to do that. But then comes February, and then I lost my grandmother. And that was almost just as rough because I haven't fully recovered from my father back in December. So the little bit ahead that I got, I felt like I got knocked back down about another 10 feet back. So I was trying to recover from that, and then literally a month later was the first birthday that I've had where I didn't have my father or them, and that was rough. It was hard to handle that. I didn't really want to do anything for my birthday. I just didn't want to do anything. Luckily, I had the backing of the church that I go to and my pastor, who's been awesome through this whole thing and been helping me in many different ways. Obviously, the big man upstairs, he's helping a lot. After that, I figured that the storm was going to settle a little bit. Like the storm winds, the water would recede, and I could start putting these pieces back together. Which is true, and it worked. That's pretty much what happened. Things started getting back to somewhat of a normalcy. I started building that website again, which, using Squarespace 7.0, then realizing 7.1 was a completely different website. I had to rebuild the entire thing from scratch that I just spent the last 3 months rebuilding. So that was another headache. After that, I actually, for the first time, got my business fully on the books. So now, Tiberious Greene is a full-fledged production, commercial, photo, and video company, which that's originally what I had planned back in last fall. That was one of the milestones I wanted to complete, as well as in January before all the other stuff happened again. So needless to say, things are starting to turn back around, and this has been about a 6-month battle. But I did feel that I needed to get it off my chest and let my audience know, which it's not that big of an audience, but I do need to be more consistent with YouTube, and I just couldn't be that consistent during these times. But like I said before, as Humpty Dumpty and having a bunch of different pieces, I feel like I've put enough things back in order to where I think I'm ready to start tackling my YouTube content again and start building my channel, where I started getting some traction back in October. So now that I have a laundry list of YouTube videos and having all these jobs back to back and getting to do what I love to do with cameras between photography and video, it's been awesome. And I really wish that he would have been here to been able to see all this happen. He did want me to do trade labor for my entire life, which is not something I was ever interested in doing. And as much as I know he's definitely proud, and he would have been really happy about all this. Yeah, it's pretty much everything that's been going on in the past 6 months, and I really feel like that now is the time for me to continue making YouTube content again. And I know this video is really long, but I just felt like I needed to get it off my chest and to let everybody know what's going on with me, why I've been absent to not making videos, not making content. But now I can actually get back into it and get it moving again. So, it's not typically your content type video that I would have on this channel, but if you did like it, hit that like button. It really does help my channel. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on many more of these videos that I'm going to be creating. I have a ton of Sony related content, tons of lenses, cameras, audio stuff, Premiere tutorials. I have about 30 or 40 videos I have to make. So I got my work cut out for me. So I'll see you on the next video.